Welcome to another Gorilla Sports Off Court, a post-game live reaction show following the Denver Nuggets on the road taking on the Sacramento Kings. I'm your host for tonight, Liv Moods, and this is presented by Trusted American Mortgage. Trusted American's salary-based mortgage consultants want to help you get into a better interest rate and lower your monthly payments. So head to trustedamerican.com to see how they can help you save some money today.
Hello and welcome in.
Please do not leave your luggage unattended on the station.
Welcome to the show.
Welcome in, everybody, to another Gorilla Sports Off Court, a post-game live reaction show. I am your host for tonight, Liv Moods, and want to address this comment right off the top. Finally, a win, Olivia. Yes, we have much to discuss because, as you guys know, we did an emergency pod just the other night to discuss the groundbreaking news that was Coach Malone being fired, as well as General Manager Calvin Booth also being fired. 3 games left in the regular season. This Nuggets team was sitting as a 4 seed, 5 seed now, I believe, just behind the Clippers, and 5 to 8, all with the same record. And so kind of an interesting time situation here where I think a lot of people knew that changes needed to be made in Denver. I think if you've been following this season and you've really been watching this season, you know that a lot of what has happened hasn't really made sense. And I have been saying this on my shows all season long. It does not make sense to have the best player in the world and this roster and be as streaky as they've been. It doesn't make sense to one game be competing with OKC and the next game losing to the Washington Wizards. It just didn't make sense. And so when you see these large changes happen within an organization, my phone was blowing up. Everyone that day was like, what are your thoughts? What are your opinions? What is going on? WTF, and I was feeling all those same things, of course. However, I was kind of able to draw myself back from the situation because working in this space, we do talk to players. We do talk to personnel. We do talk to people very close to the team. So throughout the season, I have been hearing rumblings, if you will, about just different people within the organization, and there were never names that were dropped, so I didn't know anything before other people did. But I was hearing rumblings that there was just a disconnect, which is why I kept telling you guys over and over and over, there's something going on here. And what I want to say about tonight's game, because this is the first game we've seen following the big news, right, of not having Coach Malone as the head coach and not having Calvin Booth as the general manager. What I will say from the very beginning when I turned this game on tonight, the Nuggets during warmups and during pregame just looked joyous. They looked relieved. And I know that sounds crazy. And a lot of people are like, Liv, you're grasping at straws here. You can't actually tell that. Anyone that has truly watched this Denver Nuggets team all season long knows exactly what I'm talking about. Michael Porter Jr. was smiling from ear to ear. Russ is dancing and singing along. Jokic was smiling. We saw Aaron Gordon practicing free throws, and he had a smile on his face. And I think it's just a huge testament to, if you guys don't know, I'm just going to break it down for you really, really quickly. Let me first let everybody know on Twitter that we are live. We are live. Come hang. Red heart. If you guys are on X, go ahead and just give this a retweet so we can get some more people in here. I am seeing your comments. I promise I will get to those in just a moment. But I do want to say, someone said Jokic smiled, ? He did. He did. I saw it in pregame. He was smiling. He had a very, very large smile on his face, which again makes me want to talk about this on a much deeper level. If you guys are not familiar by this point as to what was going on the back end, there was a lot of beef, if you will. Team Calvin versus Team Malone. And unfortunately, these two could not settle their issues. So it was starting to trickle down into the team. I'll give you a few examples. Reports are claiming that if you in the building were Team Calvin, you did not speak to people that were Team Malone because you felt uncomfortable with how strongly these two disagreed with each other. An example of them disagreeing, and it ties into this game, I promise. Calvin Booth was really keen on tapping into the youngsters. He wanted to develop a young team. He wanted to invest in young guys. Hence, a Zeke Najee contract that didn't make sense for the longest time. Hence, Jalen Pickett. There's guys on this team that Calvin Booth saw a lot of promise in, saw a very high ceiling with, and wanted to utilize. Coach Malone, and I understand both sides here, Coach Malone watched a lot of his veterans walk away, guys like Bruce Brown, guys like KCP that had experience in this league. And because Calvin Booth wanted to invest in young guys, we lost crucial pieces to the championship core. And so I can understand Malone's frustration with some of Calvin's decision making, but I can also understand there were moments, reports are saying, that Calvin Booth wanted Jalen Pickett over Russell Westbrook. And in a lot of big moments, Coach Malone used Russell Westbrook and not Jalen Pickett. Tonight is a really great example of something. No, I am not going to sit here and dog on Russell Westbrook because I do think he brings something that Jalen doesn't bring, and vice versa. What I will say is in that second and third quarter where we see this Nuggets team start to lose their energy, start to lose their momentum, you get a Russell Westbrook in there that always plays with fresh legs, is always playing with high energy. And that's during those quarters what the Denver Nuggets need. They need somebody that keeps the pace up. They need somebody that's driving that energy and keeping the Nuggets either on top or in the game, right? Jalen Pickett's performance tonight and many of his performances throughout the season are solidifying that he is going to take some of those clutch closing minutes away from Russell Westbrook, especially in the playoffs. And I think he's earned that. I definitely trust Jalen Pickett with the ball in his hands a whole lot more if we're down by 5 with 2 minutes left than I do with Russell Westbrook. That being said, Russell Westbrook does bring an energy that is extremely necessary and almost mandatory for this Denver Nuggets team in the playoffs during that second and third quarter. So number one, let me start by saying you need a healthy Jamal Murray back ASAP with the most swiftness. We need to see him back out there because we know what he turns into in the playoffs. Let's just entertain the idea that if there was such deep-rooted animosity between the front office and the head coach, which there is, reports are saying this is the reason that we're in this position is because of beef that they couldn't squash. And it was starting to affect the team so much so that the team is probably sitting there saying, just make up your mind. Who are you playing? Who do you want? And it does make a lot of sense because Nuggets fans, if you've been watching this season consistently, you saw what I saw, which is what the hell are these rotations? What is this lineup? So think about it. You've got Coach Malone that's like, this is what I want. But then he's feeling the pressure from someone that is got a little bit more power than him to play other guys. It just didn't make sense. Maybe there's a world where Coach Malone said, I'm going to put a lineup out there that doesn't make a whole lot of sense to prove that the youngsters aren't who we should be focusing on. I don't know, but it sounds like it's not an, absurd thing to think that there was maybe some pettiness going on between these two in their feuding that was affecting how these games were being ran and operated. Nikola Jokic expressed a lot of frustration per reports about the defensive scheme and the lack of game plan. And I've been saying for months, the only game plan that is very clear to me is get Nikola Jokic the ball. He cannot be the end-all be-all. So what I loved about tonight is you've got Nikola Jokic actually grabbing the whiteboard in the huddle and being able to tell people what needs to happen. When you've got a coach that's got to step up, I want to say in the middle of the season, but it's not. It's the end of the season. When you've got a coach that has to step up, I'm sure there's an element there of insecurity of like, listen, you've got the best player in the world. If he wants the whiteboard, let him have the whiteboard. It also felt like there was a whole lot more collaboration tonight. You saw Nikola Jokic on the floor doing some in-game coaching, which he oftentimes does. But today, it just felt like they were playing like a team. And I feel like truly, 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 when they do that, if this Nuggets team right now is no longer dealing with petty BS, let's not forget, if there was this much animosity behind the scenes that was affecting this team, and they were still able to maintain a top 3 seed in the Western Conference, and we know how stacked the Western Conference is, it's pretty impressive what they were able to do this season. But the super negative parts and the super frustrating parts are starting to make a little bit more sense. So if you free this Nuggets team from the animosity that they were dealing with and feeling like they were probably in the middle of all season long, because what I would imagine is there was Team Booth and there was Team Malone. And there were players that Booth loved and there were players that Malone loved. And they were probably pitting, not intentionally, but pitting those two groups of players against each other. Maybe you've got a Peyton Watson that's liked more by one team than the other, and he wants to get minutes. And we know that he can be a really great guy and he's got a really high ceiling. We saw him start for Aaron Gordon, and then all of a sudden he's MIA. This is the result of a battle on the back end that we couldn't see. We couldn't see it. But imagine the frustration by players. Like, am I in or am I out? What is my role? What do you need me for? Quit playing with my emotions, right? So I really do think that this Nuggets team tonight played with a little bit more collaboration. They seemed like they were just on the same page more. And maybe it's because they no longer feel like it is you versus me. We are a team. And I love seeing that because I do strongly believe with the talent and just the sole fact that Nikola Jokic is on this team, this Nuggets team could make a deep playoff run. I believe that. And I know that sounds insane for me to say, considering just yesterday, we were firing our head coach and our general manager. I get it. It's insane. But I really do think this team has the tools that it needs to make a deep playoff run. Tonight was a really important win for them because there was a chance that they were flirting with being a play-in team. You don't want to see that for this Nuggets team. You want to see them secure a playoff spot and be able to regroup as a group, given what they've gone through this week, regroup. They face the Grizzlies on Friday. Grizzlies are in a similar position without their head coach, right? So they're going through some changes. Not sure if the Rockets are really going to be playing their starters in full strength on Sunday, but really you need every win from this point moving forward, not just because of seeding, but also because this Nuggets team needs to be able to remind themselves that you can do it. You have what it takes, right? Michael Porter Jr., he looked like he had a little bit of a swagger tonight about him that I haven't seen in a while, which then leads me to think, how affected was he by this back end BS? Especially with those trade deadlines looming over his head. Were there mind games happening at that time that we couldn't see because there was so much beef happening between front office and coaching staff? There's a really high possibility of that. A really, really high possibility tonight. For Michael Porter Jr., 4 of 8 from the three-point line, 50% from three. You want to see that from him every night. 21, 5, and 2 for MPJ. I was saying just the other night, like 20 at least, 20 points and like 6 or 7 boards from MPJ, and I'm feeling good. But you're already getting him a little bit closer to that form, and I think that is his role on this team. Aaron Gordon, 21, 3, and 5. He was 1 of 5 from the three-point line, but nonetheless had a pretty solid performance. Those dunks, man, those dunks. AG in dunking mode, come on. Come on. Christian flipping Brown, okay? Jokic, and here's what I love. This was one of the first games where Jokic, it felt like Jokic didn't have to do everything and they were still able to win. Imagine that. You get a triple-double out of Jokic, of course, so he still had a great night, but only 20 points for Jokic. We just recently saw him with a 61-point triple-double and a loss, a big fat L in your face, okay? Tonight, he scored 20 points. But when you have the help around you, which is what every Nuggets fan and their grandma has been saying for some time now, this is the result that you get. Get him some help. Maybe the help's always been there. But the team itself has been going, who's the help? Because the front office is saying one thing and the coach is saying another. So what do you want, right? Jalen Pickett, he is going to make it very tough for Russ to be playing in crunch time when it comes to the playoffs. Jalen Pickett is going to make it very tough for Russ to get a lot of minutes in crunch time in the playoffs. I'm good with that. Utilize Russ in that middle section of the game, that second and third quarter, when the Nuggets start to lose their steam just before half and are kind of warming up just after half. Utilize Russ then. He keeps the pace alive. He brings in energy. He has that coaching mentality a lot like Jokic. And him and Jokic do have a really great little chemistry going on the floor. Utilize that, right? But Jalen Pickett, 5 of 7 from the three-point line. I read reports. I saw video clips. I saw stories being told about the fact that Coach Malone maybe did not treat Jalen Pickett the way he deserved to be treated, didn't truly give him a chance. And when a chance was given to him, it wasn't because Coach Malone wanted him to have one. It's because Calvin Booth did. So if there's a world where we haven't even really seen Jalen Pickett's full capabilities yet because he was feeling pressure and he was like probably scared to make a mistake, so he wasn't able to play confident basketball, we might start seeing that here in the next few games, and that will be huge in the playoffs. You've got a guy like Jalen Pickett coming up behind a hopefully healthy Jamal Murray. I'm feeling pretty solid about our point guard situation right now. And then you've got Russell Westbrook running that second unit. And I know he is not perfect, right? 3 turnovers for him tonight. The turnovers have to tighten up. 5, 4, and 4 for him. 0 of 4 from the three-point line. But again, utilize Russ for what he's meant for. Utilize him, play to his strengths, right? He doesn't need to be a scoring machine. Utilize him for the pace and the energy. Okay? I like that. I like it when Russ is in that zone. Jalen Pickett is awesome. Jalen Pickett's going to be crucial for this Nuggets team, especially in the playoffs. And there's still work to be done here. The defensive scheme has been horrible all season long. I don't expect that in the last 3 games of the season, they just figure it out like that. It's not going to happen. It's not. Defense is something that you develop over a course of a season through effort and communication. We've been lacking both of those things all season long. So yeah, you got rid of the back end beef, but now it's crunch time for the Denver Nuggets to figure out in these last 2 regular season games how to establish a defensive scheme that works. I mean, Jokic in coach mode tonight, and you really love to see it. I was getting some texts tonight from one of my best friend's boyfriends, and he's like, I really love seeing Jokic in coach mode. And I said, I absolutely do too. This is fantastic. And I think what's hard is that I think Coach Malone utilized Jokic in that way because he knew how smart he was as a player and had nothing but respect for Jokic. But at the end of the day, Jokic isn't the coach, right? So Coach Malone, you have to step up and make a decision. And I don't think he was able to do that for reasons that may be out of his control in a certain aspect because of that back end beef that I was talking about. But Pickett was just lucky. That is not true. Get lost. Sorry, what? Yeah, Pickett's defense could use some work, but we have seen Pickett with a defensive player of the game chain. I'm not sure that means a whole lot in the Mile High City because our defense just isn't super great. But we know he's capable of it. We know he's capable of it. This is the first game after some really crazy things going on. I would imagine this team is still trying to process where they're at right now. So I'm going to give him a little bit of grace here. The Western Conference is crazy, you guys. I mean, we've got OKC locked into the 1 seed. That's not changing. My God, they've been locked in for what feels like months now. Rockets at 2, Lakers at 3. Lakers just beat the Mavs tonight. Let's talk about that Luka tribute video. Disgusting, sad, sick. I almost threw up. No, it was pretty devastating. And honestly, I was hoping for both sides that neither one of them got like blown out. I wanted it to be a game, and it was exactly that. We got that game, which was awesome. But of course, you love to see Luka thriving over there with the Lakers. I'm going to just say this now, and I'm going to dive into this more with BK tomorrow on our off-court show, 12:30 p.m. Mountain Time. Make sure you're tuning in. But this nonsense from Lakers fans about them getting Jokic, stop. Even if you think there's truth, and even if there is truth, stop. Leave me alone. You understand? Because I don't want to talk about that. It's been hard enough being a Nuggets fan, okay? We are running around like chickens with our heads cut off, okay? We are exhausted. We are emotionally drained. I don't need the stuff out there. I don't need it on my timeline. I don't need it in my feed. I don't need it. But I did see it just like you guys. I did. I saw all the rumors and the things floating around. Ugh, makes me sick. I don't want to talk about it. But yeah, you guys, it's Lakers rumors are all BS. So help me God. I actually had this conversation with my fiance and my mother today at lunch. So help me. If there is a world in which Nikola Jokic becomes a Los Angeles Laker, I will forever, this man is my GOAT. I will forever watch and support and root for Nikola Jokic. That's a given. but take my beating heart out of my chest and stomp it into the ground and then pick up what's left of it and chuck it in front of a semi truck going 1,000 miles per hour. Please. Because if you expect me to watch Nikola Jokic playing for the Los Angeles Lakers, I would rather die. I actually said at lunch today, I don't know if I could work in sports. I think I would have to tell Gorilla Sports, I need to do a pop culture show. I'm bringing pop culture to Gorilla Sports. What do you know it? I'll talk about baby mama drama and Zion Williamson stalker and all that, but I can't watch games. I can't be an analyst. I can't do it. If that is where we get to in a year, 2, 3, 4, 5, 10, I don't care. I can't do it. Pop culture, it is what it is. So just know if I get a new show in the next couple of years, that's why. Because I'm not doing it. I can't. I just refuse to believe he will be anywhere but Denver. But I do think blowing it up the way that the Nuggets did just yesterday. Was that yesterday? Yesterday was the longest day of my life. I was like emotionally all over the place trying to figure out what was going on. But based on what happened yesterday, I would imagine, and I would actually be genuinely shocked to my core if Nikola Jokic did not know what was going to happen before it happened. Maybe Jokic went in and said, I've had enough of this BS. Because he did just recently get very frustrated on the bench. They caught it on camera and it was right in front of your face, okay? Is there a world where Jokic marched himself right in there and said, do something about this, or it's this drama or it's me, figure it out? Maybe. Because I also read a report that Calvin Booth really wanted Jalen Pickett, which no one's mad about that. Fine, he's wonderful. But Jokic was the one that said, I don't feel comfortable not having a vet available to play behind Jamal Murray. I want some veteran status around here. If that report is true, then I think Jokic was probably more Team Malone than Team Booth. And so maybe he marched right in there and said, do something about this. And maybe Coach Malone was collateral damage. Maybe they said, because of this nasty divide and this back and forth BS, we can't fire one without firing the other. Maybe so. Calvin Booth needed to go centuries ago. I know he hasn't been here for centuries, but it sure feels that way. Calvin Booth needed to be gone a while ago. I think we can all agree about that. Nuggets fans, you know it. I know it. We feel it. Okay. We felt it for some time now. He needed to go. Okay. He needed to go. Oh my gosh, you guys, hold on. Are you guys having a hard time hearing me? Oh, you know what? You might be having a hard time. Just one moment, please. Class. I just had my wonderful producer hop on and let me know that Mike is sounding a bit funny. Okay, I think you guys can hear me better. Can you guys hear me better? I think you guys could hear me before, but I think it sounds better now. Okay, you guys could still hear me that whole time. Shout out to my producer Jesse for hopping in and let me know. I did actually have the wrong microphone setting, so hopefully you can just hear it a little bit clearer now because this is my good mic that we're using here. Anyway, thank you Jesse for that. Someone said cleaner now. Okay, perfect. Sorry about that, you guys. Sorry about that. So anyway, maybe there's a world where Nikola Jokic entered the chat and said, figure this out. You are ruining this team with this back and forth nonsense. You either figure it out or I'm going to start getting wandering eyeballs. And maybe it was a loose threat. Maybe he really didn't mean that. But if I'm the Nuggets team and Nikola Jokic is expressing frustration, that sounds kind of like an ultimatum. Someone's getting fired today. Matter of fact, let me call them right now. Hey, you're gone. Bye. It's that simple. I mean, truly. Okay. That it's pretty simple. We're not going back and forth about this for very long. You're gone. Okay. You're finished, buddy. It's a done deal. So yeah, I think there's maybe a world where Nikola Jokic said, we got to figure this out. We got to figure, You know what? I love how people get in here and they start throwing jabs at my goat. What is wrong with you? Um, no, listen. Nikola Jokic could use some help. Could use some help with the defense. I understand. But it's starting to make a little bit of sense because I was frustrated with Jokic in quite a few games this season where I was like, dude, what are you doing? You're not even trying. You're not what the defense is whack. You're not even trying. I also said a couple times on my show that I felt like Jokic, I'm singing, that I felt like Jokic was more frustrated than normal. And I think we're seeing that there was a whole lot of back and forth on the back end of this business, and it was starting to tick people off. So this is a good win for Denver. This is a really, really good win for Denver. I know a lot of you are going to say, oh, Liv, one win, whoop-de-doo. First of all, sounds like a hater talking, and I don't do haters, to be honest. Matter of fact, I block haters from my life, even if they're friends. I could have if my grandma turns into a hater, I might block her. What's it to you? I'm mostly kidding, but this is a big win for Denver, and I'm going to tell you why. No, not because it was against a contender, not because it helped solidify their seed in the Western Conference. No, it was a big game for Denver because it was the first time I watched the Nuggets win and Nikola Jokic didn't have to do everything. And can I just tell you how good that feels? To watch this Nuggets team show up for Nikola Jokic and learning some of the things I've learned since Coach Malone and Calvin Booth's firing. I am now realizing and putting some pieces together and going, if the front office and the coach had beef and were going head to head all season long, were there players that fell under Team Booth and then players that fell under Team Malone that were feeling like they were just being pitted against one another? And maybe unintentional by the organization, but I do think we started to see it. Their beef was trickling in to the organization. And so I feel really great about this win because, like I said, Jokic didn't have to do everything and be everywhere, and they got a dub. God bless America, and God bless Nikola Jokic, okay? Because he's been needing this help. So I liked what I saw tonight. I really did. And my biggest takeaways are this. First of all, here's one of my takeaways. Christian Brown in transition is smooth, is just hello. I mean, can he be stopped? Really? It's like he's floating above the ground. It is beautiful. Chef's kiss, even. So, CB has surpassed expectations this season and continues to do so every time he's out there. This Nuggets team looked much more united. Is that not that they weren't this season? I'm not saying that they were never united, but they just looked like they were on the same wavelength. They were playing for the same thing. Let's create a hypothetical here. If Team Jokic, or not Team Jokic, if Team Malone and Team Booth were head to head and had different players underneath each of those teams that they were pushing for and advocating for, I think naturally you'd start to feel like there was a tug of war going on in the locker room. I think you'd naturally feel that way. Okay, I just got a message from my producer. Jesse, do we have that clip to play? Are we able to play that clip? Question mark. I think we do. I think we have a little clip, a little situation here, some words from the GOAT. Yeah, I called him that. Deal with it. Cry about it. Call your mom and cry about it. I don't care. we have a clip from the GOAT himself, Nikola Jokic, following tonight's game. Because, like I said, you guys, this may not be a big win for some, but for Nuggets fans and for this Nuggets team, this is a big one. This is a super big win for them to just remember who the F they are and the fact that they can do it, and to be able to see that they are capable of competing, playing a team sport together, and winning without Nikola Jokic having to do everything and be everywhere. What a feeling. Woo! I am going to sleep so good tonight, so sound like a little baby, because we got a dub, number 1, and number 2. There is life on this roster. God bless America. Can you believe it? Woo-wee! Oh, we love to see it. We love to see it. We've got Jokic's clip. Let me run this thing real fast. Let's hear from him. It's about a minute long. We'll reconvene. We'll talk about things in just a moment. But let me see. Let me see what's going on. Did the Cronkies just ignite something in Jokic? Let's find out. Let's check out what Jokic has to say following this win against Sacramento.
I mean, they woke us up. It was we need to be woken before the playoffs, and I think when if we're in there, we can mess things up. We can fight and play with everybody.
Josh Kroenke called a team meeting yesterday. What was your reaction to the changes that he made?
I mean, it's. I think when I'm coming from, it's part of the sport. People go and come and go, but it was a 10 years relationship with the coach, and we went through everything. We were bad, we were good. We won a championship. Definitely, we have some great memories, but it's part of the business, I would say.
How do you think the team has handled what I'm sure has been a wild 48 hours?
I think they got. Josh get the response that he wanted. People say that we are vulnerable, but I think the beast is always the strongest or the most dangerous when they're vulnerable. So maybe he woke up the beast.
Woke up the beast. Does anybody else have goosebumps everywhere? No, I'm dramatic, of course. Of course I'm alone. Yeah. You guys, teams that have, at this point in the season, let's be real. As a Nuggets fan, there were a few moments that I was like, okay, just rip the Band-Aid off. Let's get a good off season where we make some big business decisions and we'll go from there. But I fear Nikola Jokic is not going down without a fight. I fear that this win, while it may not mean a lot to some, means a lot to this team, because like I said, Nikola Jokic did not have to do everything and be everywhere, and they were able to win. Do you understand how valuable that is for this Denver Nuggets team? How often did we see the game plan being get Jokic the ball? That cannot be the end-all be-all at all times. While it works a lot, it cannot be your only game plan if you want to compete with this Western Conference. He just said a beast is most dangerous, strong, whatever. What did he say? Most dangerous, most strong when they are vulnerable. And the Cronkies just woke up the beast. Stop. I have goosebumps. I'm drama. I've always been drama. Deal with it. No, seriously, you guys, this win may not feel like a big deal. I get it. It's the Kings. We're still fighting for a good spot in the Western Conference. We still got to beat the Grizzlies Friday because we're neck and neck with them in terms of record. We've got Houston Sunday. It's not over. It's really only just begun, because the playoffs are a whole nother beast. If we want to play on the word beast here, everybody's a beast right now. Everybody's in beast mode, okay? But Jokic, I don't know. There's something swaggy about him right now. Forgive me. Oh my gosh. Guys, I did say this while I was watching the game. I was like, how would it not just solidify Jokic? Because Jokic is just a unicorn, right? So how much more unicorn could it get than Nikola Jokic losing his general manager and his head coach of 10 years with 3 regular season games and then going and just winning it all? Saying, we're good. Don't worry about us. Had the most streaky season in the history. Not in the history, but in my history. Okay. Really took a toll on me this year. The most streaky season. So many ups, so many downs, dealing with injuries everywhere, losing your head coach a week before the playoffs start, losing your general manager the same day a week before the playoffs start. And Jokic just did a post-game interview and said, they woke up a beast, and people say we're vulnerable, and beasts are the most dangerous when they're vulnerable. Forgive me, I'm scared. I'm shaking in my boots, actually. Wow. Wow. Okay. Forget it. If you're not a Nuggets fan, I don't care. Just humor me for a moment. If anybody in this league outside of like LeBron, okay, fine. But if anybody in this league could pull a stunt like that, it is Nikola Jokic. And I'm sorry, but that response just now, there was some passion behind what he was saying, and he seems pretty locked in and focused because he did have a really great relationship with Coach Malone. He did. And he has for 10 years now. But it's a business. And I do think as much as people get rubbed sideways about Nikola Jokic and want to say he doesn't care, you're not this good and you don't care. Shut up. Just shut up. You're just lying. You just want to hear yourself talk like I do every time I do these post games. Just shut up. Difference is I do this for a living, so I'm allowed to talk. Don't you love that? Don't you love it when people are like, get this girl, cut this girl's mic. Podcast equipment needs to be more expensive. Well, good thing I work for a company that pays for it for me. Shush. Anyway, back to what I was saying. Nikola Jokic has to care about basketball to be as good as he is, right? But Nikola Jokic, in my opinion, is also very simple-minded in the sense that, like, this is a business to him. I show up for my job just like anybody else, okay? It reminds me of the movie Incredibles, where that big guy's sitting in the cubicle and he's like doing like insurance or something, like insurance claims for people. And then in the night, he's like Mr. Incredible. Jokic shows up and does his job and then just so happens in the fourth quarter to turn into a superhero. Whoops, didn't mean to, but I did. Okay. This is his job. What do you want from him? Like, okay. He doesn't show passion the same way you do. Deal with it. I'm pretty sure you could be passionate about basketball, and I'm pretty sure you wouldn't have a 61-point triple-double. Just saying. So, just because his passion looks a little different than yours doesn't mean it doesn't exist. Jokic cares about basketball. Let's just clear that up real quick. Okay? And I think right now, he is viewing this playoff run like a business. He's clocking in, he's doing his job, he's clocking out. And what I loved about tonight is he's grabbing the whiteboard and he's saying, you're going to do it with me. How's that? Rather than Coach Malone maybe saying, hey, I need you guys to do this with him. Meanwhile, some of the players are on the team are like, there's some beef right now. I got beef with you. Maybe you don't know it, but I got beef with you. I'm not vibing. So you get a Malone that's saying, I can't get guys to watch film. You can't get your team to watch film, coach? Oh my gosh, you've lost the locker room. But you know who could get him to watch film? Nikola Jokic probably could. Yep. Do as I say and as I do. How about that? Let's watch our film and I'll show you how it's done. And I'm also going to tell you how it's done too because I can, because I'm Nikola Jokic. Do as I say. If I say jump, you say how high. Don't ask me questions. Just jump. Get up there. Respect is earned. And if players started to lose respect for either the front office or the coach, it makes a lot of sense why we had such a streaky season. I'm just saying. I'm not excusing their behavior. I'm just saying. Okay? There we go. So, you guys, it's crazy times out here. It's crazy times. I just think, I don't think that the Cronkies, I don't know the Cronkies. I feel like I know them, but I don't think I do really because they have their own mind and they do their thing. But I just don't think you make moves like you made the other day without feeling confident that Nikola Jokic was behind you in that. And if any of these players and or Jokic got what they wanted out of this, they're feeling rejuvenated. They're feeling excited. They're feeling new life. And to be honest with you, that's sort of kind of what I saw tonight from them. It just felt like they had a rejuvenation about them, and I really appreciate that. I really appreciate that. So it's all good stuff. And again, I do think, we're in a situation where time will tell. This is not going to be an easy playoff run by any means, and we still have work to be done, right, on the tail end of this regular season, both Friday night and Sunday. But time will tell. And I feel pretty confident that this Nuggets team, if they keep doing what they're doing, you got Jalen Pickett lighting it up from the three-point line. You've got CB continuing to dominate in transition. You've got Jokic coaching, doubling as a coach and the best player in the world. You've got MPJ playing with a little bit of confidence and swagger. And you've got Aaron Gordon dunking on people like he gets paid to do it. Oh, wait, he does. So there, what do you want? Like, yeah, second unit still needs some work, but listen, Strother's still getting loose, okay? We've seen Zeke Naji in some big moments, and maybe the second unit hasn't really been able to tap into their potential because they haven't felt confident enough to do so. They haven't been fueled by their coach or by the front office to say, we believe in you, let's do it. It's like, oh, well, he believes in you, but I don't. Oh my gosh. Oh! Could you imagine? Hey, Calvin really wants you to play, but I don't want to play you. Ah! Oh my gosh. Send me home. I don't want to be here. What the? Hey, Coach Malone really likes you, but I don't. So, trade deadline's near. Tick tock, tick tock. I mean, gosh, it's like a horror film. Do you love me or do you hate me? Why am I here? You know what I mean? So, if we're starting to get some of these things figured out, like, come on, that's good. We're in a good spot now. These guys can start tapping into their potential and playing confident ball. If there was any, truth to these reports, I'm sure this team felt like, which side am I on? Do you want me here or don't you? So this is good. This is a good place to be. I know it's crazy, and I know it didn't feel right when it happened at all. I do think the Nuggets organization, in so many ways, it would have been nice to see Coach Malone, the winningest head coach in franchise history, finish out the season and see what he could do with this team. But if the disconnect was so bad that they felt like there was no fixing this, rip the Band-Aid off, right? See what you can do without him. Maybe you have enough confidence in Nikola Jokic to coach this team through the playoffs that you just rip the Band-Aid off now. You have to. Because the offseason will be here before you know it, and we've got some business decisions to make, okay? So I know it felt crazy. It's been a very crazy ride here. Trust and believe I feel it with you. It's been wild, but I do think when one door closes, another one opens. I think this will be good. I think this will be good for Denver, and I think if Denver can take advantage of this change, because I think the Cronkies would not have made this change if it wasn't necessary. Feels like it was very necessary given all the reports that are coming out about the drama. It needed to happen at one point or another. So you may as well rip the Band-Aid off and see where this team can go being free from the drama shackles. Not going to lie, I glowed the F up when I freed myself from the dramatic friends that had me shackled to them. Get lost. You're weird. You're drama. Bye. Guess what? I lost weight. My skin got clear. Hello. So if the Nuggets have freed themselves from drama shackles, I'm just saying, could be a good situation, but time will tell. Friday, Grizzlies at home. I'm actually going to go to that game. I'm going to get a credential. I'm going to go to that game. I'm going to get you guys content from on the court. I'm going to find some way to get you guys post-game content in some capacity so that we can reconvene and chat about things. But figured you guys would want a little bit of a perspective from inside the arena, given it's the last regular season home game and we don't know what next week is going to look like. This could be a play-in team. Who knows? It's been very interesting. So I'm going to get to that game. I'm going to get you guys content, even on socials. So make sure you're following Guerrilla Sports on socials as well. And subscribe to our YouTube, because all of our content, will live, like long form content will live on our YouTube. But I'll get some short form stuff and get that up on socials as well if I go to the game, which I am planning to do. So I wanna be in Ball Arena. I want to say I'm saying one last time, but one last time in the regular season. The hope is that we have many more playoff games at home, but who knows? We're going to take it one game at a time. Great win, team win by this Nuggets team tonight. They play again Friday at home against the Grizzlies. Like I said, I'll be getting you guys content after that game and during that game as well. And then Sunday against the Rockets. So I just hope that they finish it out strong and start showing the rest of the world that they've still got some gas in the tank, and that losing your coach and your general manager at this stage of the season is not detrimental. I mean, it can be, but hopefully they prove that it won't be for them. So, anyways, you guys, I love you long time. I love you guys long time. I will have an off-court show tomorrow, and Brandon Cristal is going to join me in studio for that, 12:30 p.m. Mountain Time. We'll break down what we saw in tonight's game, preview the Grizzlies game on Friday, talk about Western Conference standings a little bit. We'll go through all of it because the playoffs are getting closer and closer and closer. So if you've got any more questions or things that I did not get to tonight, please join me again tomorrow, 12:30 p.m. Mountain Time. We will further these discussions. We'll talk about the Denver Nuggets as well as the Western Conference as a whole, and even the NBA as a whole, because like I said, next week the playoffs begin, and that's when it really starts to take off. So I appreciate you guys so much for tuning in to this post-game live show. I have been your host for tonight, Liv Moods, and this has also been presented by Trusted American Mortgage. You can head to trustedamerican.com to see how they can help you save some money, getting you a better interest rate, lowering your monthly payments. They are designed to help you out. Shout out to our friends over at Trusted American. Go check them out. Thank you guys tons. We'll see you tomorrow, 12:30 p.m. Mountain Time. Much love to you, and go Nuggets. Bye.